On December 4th, 2023, the international gold price reached a new high, with a price per ounce hitting $2,150. The Chinese Communist Party's, or CCP's, gold purchasing behavior is seen as a key factor driving this price increase. Some analysts speculate that this large-scale gold accumulation might be for military preparations, particularly for potential military action against Taiwan. There are even predictions that by 2024, the Renminbi might challenge the international market backed by a gold standard. According to the World Gold Council, China has been purchasing gold on a large scale over the past 12 months. Singaporean gold traders have revealed that the Chinese government is spending at least $1 billion monthly on gold purchases. By the end of November 2023, the People's Bank of China's gold reserves stood at 2,226 tons. Swiss gold analysts even believe that China's actual gold reserves might reach 4,000 tons, as domestically mined gold is not included in official figures. With the ongoing intense conflict in Ukraine and Israel, China as a global power is stockpiling strategic materials like gold, oil, and food, attracting international attention. Moreover, internal intelligence indicates that China began accumulating strategic materials like gold in 2019. So what's the connection between stockpiling gold and preparing for war? Gold is a strategic asset that can support economic and financial policies when necessary. Currently, the renminbi's exchange rate is not directly pegged to the U.S. dollar, but China still uses the U.S. dollar for foreign trade settlements and foreign investments, holding U.S. dollar assets while also facing substantial U.S. dollar debts. Thus, fluctuations in the U.S. dollar still indirectly impact the renminbi exchange rate. In the event of a conflict between China and the U.S., financial sanctions limiting China's ability to conduct dollar transactions could be possible. Such sanctions would have severe economic impacts on China. Chinese enterprises would face payment obstacles in international purchases or sales, and finding alternative currencies or payment methods would increase transaction costs and complexity. Restrictions on China's dollar transactions could lead to capital outflow, a reduction in foreign exchange reserves, and affect the stability of the renminbi exchange rate and China's international payment capability. Financial sanctions would also make it difficult for Chinese enterprises and the government to repay foreign debts denominated in U.S. dollars. Additionally, direct investments overseas by Chinese companies financed in U.S. dollars could be impacted. Exports from China to Europe and America could be cut off, reducing domestic consumer and investment confidence. To avoid the consequences of sanctions, China must reduce its reliance on the U.S. dollar. China is currently doing this by reducing its holdings of U.S. Treasury bonds and then repatriating U.S. dollars. They would then sell the U.S. dollars on the foreign exchange market to buy the renminbi, maintaining the value of the renminbi and enhancing its attractiveness as an international transaction currency. Meanwhile, the surplus funds are used to purchase gold. However, completely abandoning the dollar is not easy, especially for China, which has close economic ties with Europe and America. Even if other countries widely accept the renminbi, Europe and America may still insist on using U.S. dollars for trade. To completely abandon the dollar, the Chinese government would have to completely decouple from Europe and America. After accumulating a substantial amount of gold, should China be sanctioned, it might help maintain its economic and financial stability. This at least makes countries in Asia, Africa, and Latin America believe that China still has money and is willing to do business with them. In times of war, it could provide China with some energy resources, raw materials, and food. Xi Jinping is considered an extremist. Predictions suggest that by 2024, China might take unprecedented steps to break the renminbi out of its current restricted state and enter the international market on a large scale. This extreme strategy aims to accelerate the process of de-dollarization, but could also trigger a series of economic and financial problems. If the renminbi enters the global market in large quantities, it could lead to significant fluctuations in its exchange rate. If the market is oversupplied, the renminbi might face the risk of devaluation, leading to an increase in the prices of imported goods. For Chinese enterprises investing overseas, the cost of purchasing assets and operational expenses would rise. It could trigger capital outflow, affecting China's foreign exchange reserves and financial market stability. The dollar-denominated debts of Chinese companies would become harder to repay, potentially reducing the attractiveness of foreign investments in the Chinese market. Additionally, a large influx of the renminbi into the international market may increase global financial market uncertainty and exacerbate geopolitical tensions between China and the West. In this context, gold could be used by the Chinese government as a tool to stabilize the value of the renminbi and increase trust. China might announce the renminbi as being backed by gold. Discussing gold hoarding and warfare, let's now look at China's preparations for war. Current assessments indicate that China is not yet fully prepared. The Rocket Force's hypersonic missile technology faces severe security challenges. There have been reports of hacking attacks on the research and launch network for this technology, potentially allowing control of these advanced weapon systems to fall into external hands. This issue has forced China to reevaluate the entire Dongfeng missile series, particularly the reliability and security of hypersonic missiles. China is also building 2 new nuclear-powered aircraft carriers, but it will take 5 to 6 years for these carriers to become operational. Meanwhile, there are quality issues with domestically produced steel, leading to hull damage and water ingress problems on both the Shandong and Fujian carriers. The Fujian carrier's steam turbine takes up to 12 hours to start, making it difficult to respond quickly to battlefield needs. The J-15 fighter jet, a derivative of the Russian Sukhoi Su-33, is limited in combat effectiveness due to insufficient engine power. China's nuclear submarine force has recently faced a series of significant challenges. An accident with a Type 093 nuclear submarine on August 21st resulted in the death of 55 senior technical personnel. It included experts who had returned from abroad, veteran submarine and surface ship captains, and several senior technical non-commissioned officers. Furthermore, China's nuclear missile submarines have recently started regular patrol missions. Since their main mission is to launch nuclear strikes from concealed positions, they may patrol underwater for months, with very limited contact with headquarters. If Chinese President Xi Jinping has pre-authorized submarine commanders to act under specific circumstances, the ultimate decision-making authority for nuclear weapon launches, whether it rests with the captain or the political commissar, remains unclear. The Chinese military is introducing new weapon systems, but faces a shortage of operators. College graduates are not highly interested in joining the military, and although the military offers slightly higher salaries, it's not enough to attract them. Additionally, military life restrictions such as limited internet access, marriage requiring superior approval, and prolonged separation from family make it unattractive for young people seeking a more relaxed lifestyle. This is particularly true in missile units, where soldiers often serve in remote mountains or deserts for long periods. Most of the current enlistees are only children, and there is a gap in their psychological and physical fitness compared to the past. Statistics show that up to 60% of college student recruits fail the physical fitness test. Even those who pass the test are more prone to stress fractures after 3 years of service compared to American soldiers. In summary, despite having advanced ships and aircraft, the Chinese military's preparedness and combat capability are severely impacted due to a lack of well-trained operators. The U.S. government has different assessments of China's military capabilities and has formulated strategies accordingly. The U.S. believes that if it does not promptly confront China militarily, it may face more complex and difficult challenges in the future. Therefore, the current U.S. strategy seems to favor imposing military constraints on China in advance. In recent months, senior U.S. military and political officials have frequently warned that China may soon take military action against Taiwan. General Charles Q. Brown, the new chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, has particularly emphasized the importance of maintaining high vigilance against China. Similarly, U.S. Secretary of State Blinken stressed China's military development in a March statement, predicting that by 2027, the 100th anniversary of the founding of the PLA, China will have the full military capability to conquer Taiwan. Therefore, the U.S. has strengthened its military presence in the South China Sea, where the CCP's military is weakest, specifically by firmly supporting the Philippines to counter China's challenges in the region. This U.S. strategy is seen as a strategic upgrade in the first island chain and attempts to prevent China from shifting the focus of conflict to other regions, such as South America, the Middle East, or Europe. The Philippine government has also taken a more proactive stance in addressing China's challenges. A recent specific example is the December 3rd entry of the U.S. littoral combat ship USS Gabriel Giffords into the waters of the Philippine-claimed Renai Reef, alarming China. Previously, China planned to prevent the Philippines from reinforcing its grounded ship at Renai Reef, allowing the ship to naturally disintegrate, thereby removing the Philippines' reason for going to the reef. However, the appearance of the U.S. littoral combat ship changed the situation. If a U.S. warship were to run aground at Renai Reef in the future, it would pose a more complex challenge for the Chinese government. China might face demands from the U.S. to provide supplies for its grounded warship, which might be difficult for China to prevent. Moreover, the U.S. currently has 6 littoral combat ships for sale. If these ships were deployed to various islands and reefs occupied by the Philippines in the South China Sea and grounded, it would significantly increase China's difficulty in handling the South China Sea issue. This possibility particularly worries the Chinese government, as it could lead to a change in the strategic balance in the South China Sea. On December 7th, the Philippine House of Representatives passed an important resolution demanding that China immediately cease its illegal activities in the relevant waters of the South China Sea, reflecting strong Philippine opposition to China's actions. This move demonstrates further cooperation between the U.S. and the Philippines on the South China Sea issue. Subsequently, on December 8th and 10th, China attacked Philippine vessels near Huangyang Island and Renai Reef using water cannons and sonic weapons. Philippine ambassador to the United States, Jose Manuel Romualdez, warned that such small-scale conflicts could lead to larger ones, potentially turning the South China Sea into a new crisis hotspot. Meanwhile, U.S. National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan emphasized after the trilateral talks in South Korea and Japan that the U.S. would maintain issues in the Taiwan Strait and the South China Sea, reaffirming its commitment to freedom of navigation in the South China Sea. This indicates the U.S. determination to take firm action on South China Sea issues. During Xi Jinping's visit to Vietnam from December 12th to the 13th, he attempted to gain Vietnam's support on the South China Sea issue, but no consensus was reached. The Philippines took note of this, perceiving that the CCP's next strategic target was likely to be the Philippines, especially after seeking support from the rival Vietnam. The Philippines, with U.S. support, is prepared for potential conflicts, but does not wish to initiate war. Instead, it aims to contain China's actions by demonstrating resolve. On December 13th, U.S. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin's statement reaffirmed the U.S.-Philippines Mutual Defense Treaty, showing firm U.S. support for the Philippines and hinting at U.S. military deployment preparations for the Philippines, signaling an imminent large-scale conflict. The CCP is striving to reduce its reliance on the U.S. dollar and gradually decouple it from the West. Another challenge in this decoupling process is achieving self-reliance in technology. To this end, the CCP has resorted to various means to strengthen its theft of Western technology. A Reuters report revealed the situation of a Chinese chip design company. One of its shareholders, SMIC, is under severe U.S. sanctions, but the company still manages to access American software and receive financial support. This company also provides chip design services to Chinese military enterprises. China has also been accused of infiltrating infrastructure networks across the U.S. In response to China's aggressive strategy, Western countries, especially the U.S., are likely to adopt more stringent and pragmatic countermeasures. The U.S. is expected to accelerate the introduction of more advanced technological solutions, such as quantum computing, space nuclear fusion technology, and robotics, to consolidate its leadership position on the international stage. The Chinese government's ambition is to bring countries in Asia, Africa, and Latin America into its sphere of influence and expand its international impact by establishing an economy dominated by the renminbi. While this strategy is theoretically feasible, it faces multiple challenges in practice. Firstly, China needs significant technological innovation and economic governance improvements to effectively lead and stabilize this economic sphere. Currently, China has deficiencies in both aspects. From a geostrategic perspective, China's influence in the South China Sea and the Indochina Peninsula region has not reached its expected goals. The instability in these areas directly affects China's shipping safety and international trade expansion. Xi Jinping's China dream reveals grand visions for the nation's future, but is often executed hastily and without deep consideration. This strategy has brought significant challenges within China, increasing the pressure on the lives of ordinary people. The international community is also affected by China's policies, with events such as the war in Ukraine and conflicts in Israel being closely related to the rise of such a major power. Therefore, Xi Jinping's actions might be viewed as highly controversial in world history.